Thank you to all our global leaders for participating in our virtual roundtable discussions. Since it is impossible to be in 6 places at once, even virtually, we will post the recordings of all 6 roundtables on our YouTube channel at the end of the day. We are nearing the end of the UN Private Sector Forum, but we still have some high-level speakers to come and a very special and international musical act to close our program today. But first, it is my pleasure to introduce Colombia's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Her Excellency Claudia Blum.
Good morning to everyone. I extend my warmest greetings to Mrs. Sanda Ojambo, CEO and Executive Director of the UN Global Compact, and to all business leaders participating in this forum. It is powerful and inspiring to see the relevance achieved by the UN Global Compact founded by Secretary General Kofi Annan, who always brought his humanistic approach to different regions of the world. Dear friends, we stand before a very demanding period in our history. The world is facing a pandemic that is having unprecedented effects on the economy, employment, and social development in all countries. The decided involvement of governments, private sector, civil society, and other stakeholders is vital to overcome this crisis. Altogether, we should focus our efforts not only to go back to normality, but to create the conditions for more resilient, innovative, and sustainable societies. For this purpose, the UN Global Compact plays a significant role. This initiative has brought together more than 10,000 companies and multiple stakeholders, civil society, and labor organizations around the world. The 10 principles of the UN Global Compact related to labor, human rights, environment, and fight against corruption are more relevant than ever. Their connection to the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development is evident, and both frameworks create a powerful basis for the involvement of private sectors and civil societies in the economic, social, and environmental dimensions of development. I would like to emphasize that both in the Global Compact principles and in the 2030 Agenda, responsible environmental actions play a fundamental part. Major global crises are related to climate change, environmental degradation, and biodiversity destruction. We need to redouble our efforts to involve every organization in promoting productive models and consumers' behaviors that are respectful of the environment and of the rights of future generations to meet their own needs. Dear friends, Colombia considers that the 2030 Agenda provides a roadmap to address the current crisis and advance towards welfare worldwide. The success of this agenda includes the involvement of all relevant stakeholders. Private sector solutions are effective instruments to tackle global social challenges. They have the potential to bring together a variety of resources, technologies, and expertise, which are essential to achieve the development goals in every country. Every organization acting within the UN Global Compact should identify how their strategic plans can contribute to the achievement of the SDGs. Organizational culture at all levels must incorporate the conviction that business activities can make a difference for the goal of building more sustainable, fair, and innovative societies. In line with this view, during the 20th anniversary of the UN Global Compact last June, President of Colombia, Iván Duque, reaffirmed our commitment to engage all sectors of society in achieving these goals during the decade of action and delivery. I would like to thank the organization of this forum for its leadership in making this conversation possible. Multi-stakeholders dialogues provide an opportunity to address complex policy issues and to deliver the transformations needed for long-term prosperity. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I would now like to introduce Malta's Minister of Sustainable Development and Implementation of the Electoral Manifesto and Social Dialogue, His Excellency Carmelo Abela.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. The COVID-19 pandemic has shaken up the foundations of human society, becoming an urgent global challenge that must be addressed through the coordinated and collaborative efforts. The virus revealed a series of weaknesses in our current business operating models, which hence must be addressed. We are realizing that the current business models need to be adjusted to effectively mainstream the three pillars of sustainable development so that our ways of doing business changes its course to decouple our economic growth and achieve the much-needed circularity approach. Businesses are being forced to rethink their current operations, whilst at the same time ensuring that the labour market will remain stable and healthy. It is important for businesses to keep in mind that their employees are most valuable and that they should continuously invest in them, namely by upholding fair and decent working conditions. The accelerated growth of technology and the access to information have shaped the way of how we conduct business. Meanwhile, availability of a wide range of information systems have given businesses more international exposure to the extent that allowed them to become more proactive and predictive rather than reactive and responsive. This has made significant changes to how business organizations plan and enabled a more evidence-based approach to decision-making. Businesses should also be in constant consultation with other social actors, such as trade unions and non-governmental organizations, to ensure the economic and social well-being of the labor force. Multilateral cooperation also plays an essential role in addressing common issues such as climate change and biodiversity losses. The Paris Agreement and the European Green Deal are important steps to change the current business models so that they become sustainable by effectively mainstreaming the three pillars of sustainable development in their operations. Multilateral processes may also be helpful in coordinating global regulation of technological developments designed to help prevent climate change and limit its impacts, and in facilitating the introduction of new technologies at the global level. Businesses should also take note of the ILO-centered declaration on the future of work and take a human-centered approach to their policies and reforms related to working conditions. And while traditional sectors have shaped our economic growth, it is the diversified and innovative entrepreneurship that will make the leap towards a more sustainable economy, especially for small island states like Malta. In concluding, I'd like to state that businesses should be united in sharing and mainstreaming principles of sustainable development, which include the well-being of our citizens, human rights, and the well-being of our workers. It is only by working together that this can be achieved. especially in the context of the United Nations 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. It now gives me great pleasure to introduce a dear friend and the Minister of Youth and Sports Development for Nigeria, His Excellency Sunday Dare.
Let me join my voice to that of thousands of other global leaders across the world to congratulate the United Nations on its 75th anniversary. This global institution in the last 75 years has been able to impact our world positively. And as it continues to do that, I call upon everyone to continue to join and collaborate and cooperate with the United Nations. I'm also glad to speak at the private sector forum that looks at business, trust in business, integrity in business, both in private and the public sector. The agenda is clear, that of promoting labor rights, justice, peace, human rights, and also journalistic integrity. And today, I speak to these same values that have been promoted by the United Nations, particularly the idea of making sure we build institutions. Without institutional rationalization, it is to be impossible for our countries, particularly Nigeria and other countries in the world, to build enduring and sustainable systems. I also believe that through multilateral cooperation, multi-stakeholder cooperation, we can build a sustainable model to meet the SDG goals. Once again, I congratulate the United Nations and I call on different stakeholders in this global agenda to cooperate, to collaborate, to work together to achieve the goals set forth, particularly through the public and private sector reform and cooperation.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I will now like to introduce Mr. Thomas de Baas, Managing Director for the U.S. Office of Global Partnerships.
Hello, thank you for inviting me. My name is Thomas de Baas, and I'm the Managing Director of the Office of Global Partnerships at the U.S. Department of State. The office is the department's outreach and engagement arm for building partnerships with the private sector for both our diplomacy and development objectives. I'd like to first recognize that this is the 75th anniversary of the United Nations, a tremendous gathering of all the nations around the world working together on human rights, rule of law, health, security, and broader development issues. These issues are not just important to the world's citizens and their nation states, they're also critical to the conduct of business and commerce, which fuel livelihoods and spur economic growth for all. The UN Global Compact brings a platform to the voice of the private sector in global affairs, and I appreciate addressing all of the businesses represented here at Uniting Business Live Forum. Today, the world faces one of the most difficult crises in our history. All of our nations around the world are working to combat the global pandemic, which respects no border and impacts everyone. This novel coronavirus is a terrible scourge placed upon both developed and developing countries alike. Only by all of us working together can we defeat COVID-19, and that includes each of us individually, as well as our governments and our respective private sector. Since the outbreak of COVID-19, the United States has announced more than $1.6 billion in emergency health, humanitarian, economic, and development assistance. These funds are aimed at helping governments, international organizations, non-governmental organizations fight the pandemic. This funding, provided by U.S. taxpayers, will save lives by improving public health education, protecting healthcare facilities, increasing laboratory, disease surveillance, and rapid response capacity in more than 120 countries. America's businesses, philanthropy, civil society, and academia are also working on responding to both the immediate health crisis the world faces and the longer-term economic effects of battling the disease. The United States is proud to partner with the private sector in responding to this pandemic. On August 5th of this year, Secretary Pompeo launched the COVID-19 Private Sector Engagement and Partnership Fund, which provides resources to build on private sector investments combating COVID-19. The fund is specifically focused on the long-term economic effects of the disease and solutions that the private sector can employ to mitigate these effects. The fund is currently open, and we welcome creative private sector ideas and solutions to assist people around the world. With the fund, the United States is co-developing and co-investing to build on private sector solutions. The fund is organized and managed by the Department of State and USAID, and we welcome your applications. For more information on the fund, please visit our website at state.gov/s/partnerships. Thank you for your attention, and we look forward to partnering with you.
Thank you, Mr. DeBoss. It is now my pleasure to introduce the Prime Minister of Barbados, Her Excellency Mia Mottley.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, by now I hope you've had a productive session, because what you do and how we move from here really does matter. Every generation gets its moment. There was a moment in 1917 when war was avoidable, but it was missed, and the narcissism of small things led to 2 world wars and regrettably the loss of millions of lives. 75 years ago, amid the rubble of the Second World War, another moment was grasped, and the United Nations and its sister Bretton Woods institutions were born. War was not defeated, but its impact diminished dramatically. In the 1960s and 70s, nations took their moment for independence. The sun set on the empire. Later, we missed a moment to refashion the post-colonial international economic order as one with many small independent states, as they expected. Another chance to do so came with a global financial crisis in 2008. Steps were made. G7 turned into G20. The same economic nationalism, competitive devaluation, and rising tariffs that paved the way to the Second World War were critically avoided, yet much was left undone. Today, amid the ravages of the global pandemic and the tide of climate change, our generation's moment has truly arrived. This moment is in part about forging a new global settlement between the public and the private, a new compact, a new global deal. We know that incentives matter. Things are the way they are because they are incentivized to be so. If we want to change the way things are for a better society, we need to change the incentives. There are a few ways in which we are already doing this on a local scale. We change the prices that the market gives us in order to generate outcomes that we would not achieve if we had left it to the markets on their own. Climate change is a case in point. Climate change is here because those who contributed most to it and profited from doing so do not bear the consequences of it to a greater degree than anyone else. And so they are incentivized to continue emitting greenhouse gases. Nevertheless, using attractive feed-in tariffs to incentivize investors in renewable energy, my country, Barbados, is well on its way to its 2030 target of being fossil fuel-free, led mainly, of course, by solar photovoltaic farms. The state, my friends, can also act as a significant market participant and price setter, influencing pricing and outcomes. By tilting our annual procurement budget towards small or local suppliers, or those who are differently able, as others have done, we can generate more inclusive growth and healthier communities. The state can confer rights on people. That gives them a degree of market access that they didn't have before. We have just started a scheme here where we share equity with low-income households who are looking to finance a new home. The loan that they will now need has an 80% loan-to-value ratio rather than 100%, making it cheaper and easier for these persons to access the financing. Accounting and other conventions can sometimes have such powerful and perverse impacts that the conventions need to be adjusted. For instance, To avoid fraud, accounting standards favor mark-to-market accounting. But this can make it harder for long-term investors to invest in long-term assets. Current anti-money laundering rules focus on control processes rather than a measurement of actual money laundering. As a result, they lead to countries with the smallest impact on global financial flows spending proportionally more on anti-money laundering than those with the greatest impact, and indeed with the greatest risk. COVID has also reminded us, my friends, that when in a systemic crisis, the only actor able to respond fully is the government. The private system cannot privately insure itself against a total systemic collapse. But to be there in the bad times, the state has to be built up in the good times. Simply put, we cannot privatize profits and socialize losses. The Barbados Employment and Sustainable Transformation Program, the BEST program that we have just launched, is an investment in our firms within the tourism and hospitality sector to re-engage their employees to tackle the scourge of unemployment and to positively transform their businesses when good times return. BEST is not a bailout. The investment is in the form of equity to not overburden already troubled balance sheets. We are looking for a return when times get better, and so shareholders cannot sell their assets or indeed pay themselves dividends until this investment is fully returned, which is a strong incentive to do so as soon as they can. Indeed, the rates of return on the coupons step up the longer they take to pay. This is, my friends, a partnership that takes into account their straitened circumstances, the need for workers to be able to work purposefully, and the need for government to retain and maintain the hotel stock of the island so that whenever travel returns, we have rooms that are capable of receiving people. Solidarity with workers, solidarity with employers. Government at the center of it. We are socializing, not privatizing the recovery. But systemic crises are best dealt with systemically. Efforts to support the private sector through a systemic crisis should be financed globally with concessions, not locally expensively. Otherwise, it will trigger a further round of systemic risk. One candidate mechanism is an injection of liquidity through the automatic sale of SDRs, once some trigger of debt to GDP levels or the scale of a natural disaster has been independently declared. Another is a new regional liquidity and resilience facility to lower the cost of borrowing in challenging times. And we can do it. There is, my friends, much to be done. And this is the moment to do it. The consequences of our failing to do so will be severe. And I simply leave you with the words, we must and we shall, because without it, our future will not be anything that we have set out to prepare for or will be willing to accept. I look forward to our finding the political will for global solidarity at this most challenging time for humanity. I thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Your Excellency, and thank you to all our government speakers. And now to wrap up the private sector forum and a day of really great announcements, strong commitments, and important conversations, I am thrilled to introduce a man who combines his passion for music with a deep commitment to sustainability and the environment. He is an internationally renowned Grammy Award-winning composer, a UNICEF India celebrity supporter, and a UNESCO Global Ambassador for Kindness. All the way from India, please welcome Ricky Cage.
Hello everyone, namaste, hola, greetings from India. Now it's time for some music. But first of all, a very, very happy 75th year to the United Nations. Now, it's a huge honor for me to perform for you today at Uniting Business Live. What a great session it has been. Such amazing speakers and so many great thoughts and ideas. Now, today we reflected on the very founding of the United Nations. We spoke about global cooperation and inclusive multilateralism, peace and justice and human rights and labor rights. And I hope this day inspires us to be better leaders for our people and for our planet. Now, in India, we have an ancient phrase called Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which is pretty much at the heart of our culture and it's at the heart of our traditions. It literally means the world is one family. It means coexistence. Now, we need to constantly remind ourselves that we are not the only species on this planet. We're just one among millions and millions of species on this planet, and true coexistence and true Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, according to any ancient culture anywhere in the world, has always meant living in absolute peace and absolute harmony with all life, and not just humans. Now, for my first song, through the magic of technology, I'm joined by Mkhoba from South Africa, Wari Jashri and Siddhartha from India, and this song is called One Family.
Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam
As far as I can see, as far as time extends, no soul was ever born outside this home. No heart has ever beat outside this song. When we will ever see that we can only be to feel the freedom of our unity. For in this great land we share a home, and in this great love a family.
Vasudhaiva
Nature has forged an unbreakable bond in all hearts and all life. This love is our divine right, and nothing can take it away.
Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam.
When we will ever see that we can only be to feel the freedom of our unity. For in this great land we share a home, and in this great love a family. For in this great land we share a home, and in this great love a family.
Hope you enjoyed that song. Now, my next song is an anthem for a better and a brighter future for everyone and everything. Now, this whole world, in my opinion, is just one song. And all of us are just essential harmony parts within that song, which enriches the song and makes the song what it is. Now, as the great Senegalese Baba Diom said, in the end, we as humans, we will only conserve things that we love. We will only love what we understand, and we will only understand what we are taught. So, through this last song, let us all fall in love again with our natural world, and through that love, let us find it within ourselves to protect, to conserve, to sustain, and to coexist. This song is called One Song.
जागो पधारो मैं जो
seize the day. Time to take a stand for the earth. All of us, we gotta make a way. Let's join our hand. Now it's time we come face with fate. Turn the tide of our history. With you and me, this is victory. Let's join our hand. Calling out every nation, calling from every station, calling out all you people. Reach out, let us join hands and sing this world song. Reach out, let us join hands and sing this one song. Reach out, let us join hands and sing this world song. Reach out, let us join hands and sing this one song. Jago padharo mein jogan de bhaat. Jago padharo mein jogan de bhaat. जागो जागो इंसानों के जागने का ये है समय, देखना हो न जाए देश। आने वाला जो कल होगा, आज का ही वो फल होगा, देना हमको दखल होगा। कूचा कूचा पुकारे, आओ मिलके जी सारे, ना करो अनसुनारे। Reach out, let us join hands and sing this world song. Reach out, let us join hands and sing this one song. Reach out, let us join hands and sing this world song. Reach out, let us join hands and sing this one song. Reach out, let us join hands and sing this earth song. One song, one song, one song. Reach out, let us join hands and sing this earth song.
That was one song. Now, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Uniting Business Live. Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you so much, Ricky, for that rousing finale to end today's private sector forum. We hope you, our audience, have enjoyed spending time with us at Uniting Business Live. Please continue to follow the conversation on social media using the hashtag #UnitingBusiness. Video highlights will be posted on our YouTube channel later today. Please join us again tomorrow for the Global Impact Forum. Breakout sessions begin at 6 a.m. New York time, and then the opening plenary will be right here at 7 a.m. I'm Tolu Olubumi, and it has been my pleasure being your MC for today's UN Global Compact Private Sector Forum. Thank you all for joining us, and see you back here tomorrow for more Uniting Business Live.